This is your Intrepid Traveler, Roberto. Today is the beginning of my bike tour along the Normandy coast, looking at the Allied landings and all of the key interest points. We're starting off at a very important location called the Pegasus Bridge, was also the starting point for the British forces. The bridge, which you can see a ship is going through now, is actually a canal, and the Pegasus Bridge would have allowed Germans to have access to the beaches, repelling the British forces using armor and more heavier equipment. Fortunately, the British forces were able to hold on to the bridge until 1 o'clock in the morning, which they were reinforced and then permanently held the bridge, and they themselves able to bring armor and more troops across the bridge and go further into the French countryside. As you can see, without a bridge, impossible to cross. As we approach Sword Beach, which was the far left of the Allied forces conducted by the British, and here we go. This is Sword Beach. This is where the British came ashore. Looks like they're pretty close to the houses. Didn't have a long way to go, but they still met with significant resistance with heavy casualties. But this is it, the British landed here. Quite amazing, it looks so peaceful now. Just a sleepy seaside town. Look at these old large places, quite significant. I didn't realize the houses were so close as the British troops landed. I wonder if these were occupied by Germans. We've left Sword Beach. Next destination is Juneau, where the Canadians landed. Here's a tank just representing some of the things that came ashore. This is actually a flamethrower, Churchill. If you're on the other end of that bugger, that's quite scary. On our way to Juneau, we'll also stop at some museums there and get a better feel for what the Canadians did on that auspicious day of days. On June 6, 1944, the Canadian Army Film and Photo Unit shot the only film footage on D-Day assault landings on Juneau Beach known to survive. And here it is. And this building right here is the most famous and in fact the only footage that the Canadians have coming ashore. Residents honoring the Canadians all along this stretch. There's nooks and crannies all along the beachfront where troops landed, and these dedications to them and the beaches that hosted them. Here I'm on a sandy beach trail. Isn't this beautiful? It's a bit sandy and challenging, but worth the effort. Also, no humans out here. We're now at what was the center of the Canadian Juneau beach landing. When I say center, meaning they had troops on the left and right. Heading into one of the German bunker areas right on the beach to oppose Allied landing. Watch your noggin. This is where they defended it. This wasn't here, of course. Yeah, not a great spot to be when you had troops coming at you in shells. That's for sure. I wouldn't want to be here. Here's where the Canadians came ashore. You can see that marker down there. That is the canal, and therefore the Germans had to really heavily defend it because they didn't want ships going up there. And Canadian casualties along this beach going up were very heavy as they came up to the defensive positions, both artillery as well as machine guns. This is a very sacred spot for the Canadians.
With glowing hearts we see thee rise, thou Juno strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada.
The poppy is indigenous to Canada and represents the honor of the troops and all of the wars they've served.
Just came out of the museum. There's my bike. Be jumping on that momentarily. Just a beautiful day today. Here's another Churchill flamethrower tank. Now this is my kind of bike riding. The small little open road, no cars, nice breeze, beautiful weather. This is nice. did a big climb up to this bluff, which was a gun position right here. And some pretty heavy fortifications up at this point. Fritz, what are all these ships out there coming toward us? Ah! It's the attack! It sure was. In fact, it was the Brits coming onto Gold Beach. As you can see here, Gold Beach stretches all the way up and actually even around that peninsula where the Brits tried to get ashore there. You can see the destroyed equipment in the water. This is also the far right of the Brit positions on the beaches around here. And where I'm standing now are all the German defenses. Machine gun nests, artillery, quite a significant amount of firepower that could shoot down onto the beaches on any side. So let's climb this cliff and knock those krauts out. The only good German is a dead German, my grandfather used to say. So we're at our third and final beach stop for today. This is Gold Beach. As you can see behind me, this is a area where they had artillery mounted and they could point at the beaches on either side. And this whole area was bristling with machine guns, cannon, etc. Okay, end of day one. What a fantastic ride from Caen to Bayeux. The strategy for this trip is simple. Each night I'm done my ride, I'm going to stay at a bed and breakfast where I get a comfortable bed, a hot shower, and delicious, delicious French food. So day two, tomorrow, we're going to head over to Sainte-Mere-Elgise. We'll be hitting a couple of D-Day museums as well as some of the key American landing sites. Okay, let's get some rest, let's get some food, and get ready for tomorrow. Day two begins. Just me and the bike on the open road. Today we're gonna hit some key spots for where the Americans landed, Omaha Beach, and there's some really nice museums we'll go into there. And the destination for the evening is Grandcamp d'Or. Okay, let's get to it. We'll be seeing a lot of nice things today. Hee-haw! Small road, barley field on either side. Really quite beautiful out here. We're heading through the town of Bayeux, which is where we stayed last night. Man, there's cycleways everywhere. It's really nice. Pretty tame, hardly any cars. It's a little example. The French coastline off of the English Channel. But I guess the French probably call it the French Channel. How's this for some bike touring? Along a path with no cars, across from a wheat field and the ocean in the distance. Man, this is what it's all about right here. You know, even though I'm not mountain biking right now, I'm certainly making the most of my biking experience, finding where the fun is. So this is our first glimpse of Omaha Beach. This landing occurred at 6:30 a.m. on June 6th. The 16th Regiment of the 1st Infantry Division suffered heavy losses. Almost all of the amphibious tanks that accompanied them had sunk in the sea, and the only precarious cover was the pebble bank. As you can see here, we are at Fox Green, which is the second beach over on the entire Omaha Beach landing. Let's go take a look. One of the key aspects of the strategy for the Allies as they landed is to have breaks in the cliffs. As you can see in front of us, this is a valley running up into the flatland. So they're both heavily defended as well as highly coveted. The Germans weren't dummies. So this is why they pick beaches like this. Get them on the shore, and get them up this gully, and get them inland. The 1st Infantry Division led the attack on that morning and were pinned down coming in from the cliffs and the high ground. They experienced really heavy casualties until the Navy ships moved in point blank range and started firing on the positions. And they only made it 1.5 miles into the interior during the course of that day. Very tenuous. This is a tank destroyer. Is a tank recovery vehicle. Look at all the shrapnel hits. It looks like a couple of them actually made it through. I wonder if the people inside got killed. or certainly disabled this tank. He got hit pretty hard. And of critical importance is this Lego bridge that allowed the Allies to put them together like Lego parts and cross the many, many bridges throughout France and Europe that had been blown up by the Germans. We're at the Normandy Museum. All the equipment replicating what was brought ashore. This is the Duck, an amphibious transport ship used extensively during D-Day and throughout the war, both in the Pacific and in the European theater. It's an impressive collection of a wide range of military equipment that was used on the landings on D-Day. There you have the Panther tank. It's one of the Germans' heavy half-track that towed a lot of vehicles. There's no words necessary to understand what is here. All of these graves represent someone that was killed in the 90-day span of the Normandy conflict. This is just one small section. As I stroll through this graveyard of Americans who died during Normandy, one thing that strikes me is all of these people are from a different state, a different location. In this graveyard, there is no division. There's no political alliance. We're not against one another. Here, all Americans stand together, having sacrificed for a cause, not allowing someone like Donald Trump to tear apart the fabric of our great country through hate, ego, and the division that he's created. It's a sad testament and a disrespect to all of these soldiers who gave their lives during World War II to protect our freedom and to stop tyranny as is being created in our own country. And below us, we have some of the beaches that the Americans landed on June 6th, 1944. You can see all these bluffs where the Germans were able to defend their positions and make it real tough for the Allies, in this case the Americans, to get up there. Can you imagine going from the beach up through here and then up that hill? Of course, all this road and so forth wasn't here. It was beach and then wall. It says a real beachy look and not many houses. That looks like a nice swimmable beach. Oh yeah, this is definitely one of the main landing beaches here. That monument is quite famous. Not a lot of tourists. Pretty cool, huh? It's a nice little single track treat that I found. For some reason it said no bikes. I'm not really sure why, but I don't really care. I'm not gonna follow it. It's really nice down here. It's like a little jungle. Living a dream, baby, living a dream. This is probably one of the best stretches of trail that I have been on the last 2 days. You got these beautiful fields to the left of me, ocean to the right. There's absolutely no people out here. The trail is perfect. I mean, this is really wonderful. Most of the trails, most of the routes have been really nice, accommodating bicycles. But this one particularly, as we come into the home stretch for day 2, is a real treat. Look at this! More beautiful coastline. Wow, this is wonderful, just wonderful. Right outside of my final stop for the day, Grandcamp, Maisy. But look what I've come across. This absolutely spectacular barley interspersed with poppies. The red or orange everywhere. Isn't that gorgeous? And of course this whole trail is still by the sea. Starting off day 3 on our bike tour trip in Normandy. We're starting off in Grandcamp, heading over to Sainte-Mere-Elgise. As you can see behind me, I had to jump off real quick to see this gun battery that the Germans had set up. This is really off the beaten track, but this kind of stuff you can find all along the coast, not just where the landing beaches were, of course, but the entire French coastline, all the way up to Norway, in fact. The defenses were in place. This is the first opportunity I've had to see nondescript fortifications instead of just the popular ones. So hopefully we're gonna see more along the way on this generally unused track. On the open road in Normandy, France. Yeehaw! Another little French town passing through. And everywhere you go, there's monuments to the fighting here on D-Day. So all these locations were fought for, especially one like this where there's a canal like this. This was a heavily fought after area. Endless little country roads like this with no cars at all. And in fact, they designate them as bike lanes and even sign them up with signs. We're now entering the town of Carentan. This was of a major importance for the Americans to capture this town, as multiple rail lines and road systems led in and out, and they paid dearly for this effort. All of this area was heavily fought over. Okay, so let's go through the town and we'll take a gander. Notre Dame of Carentan. The Americans actually tried to avoid destroying landmarks such as this, but unfortunately a lot of this town was pulverized. It was necessary to dislodge the Germans. Carentan. Just think of all the Germans and the US troops were here. And you can see some of the buildings are original that weren't destroyed, like this old bank. Wow, that's something. For sale. Anybody want to buy that? Just give you a taste of this place. Cool little river crossing over this old-fashioned bridge. Yeah, pretty cool, huh? Check this out. There's a whole entire bike route all along the Utah Beach area, which is really easy to follow. They go over captured bridges and reservoirs and the beach areas where the airborne troops landed. There's plenty of firsts on this trip, but the one I'm going to talk about now is I've never been on roads this distance, this long without cars. Now, of course, they're little country roads, but this is a road in great shape. And without any cars to worry about, it is just such a pleasure, really. Important point, I was expecting rain today. It called for like 70% chance of just wicked rain. And instead, it's the nicest day that I've had since I've been out here. Hare Krishna. Sitting here taking a little break, having some croissants. And in front of me is a huge swamp area. Quite interesting. And then Utah Beach, or the water, you know, the channel is along here. As I was observing though, if you could see the point, let's see, right out there, as far as the land goes on the other side. I mean, I've been over there. I biked from around there, across all of these towns and areas, roads, villages, all the way around to this point. And this is really just a small portion of the terrain that I've covered in the last 3 days, and more to come. Just wanted to share this moment with you of beauty and peace. Unfortunately, even out here, I hear some weed whackers. Modern world. About to get our first glimpse of Utah Beach. Let's jump off the bike and climb on up there. The anticipation builds as we climb over the dune to make our first observation of Utah Beach, where the Americans landed. Here we go. Here it is. Look at this. Many American lives killed on this beach. And then what I've also come to is the main museum for Utah Beach. We'll go visit that momentarily. This is the epicenter for visitors and one of the key landing areas for the Americans as well. I mean, for one thing, it's just flat out beautiful. Of course, they didn't think it was so beautiful that day. They weren't really worried about what it looked like. Look at this, just absolutely gorgeous. If the Allies would have had a calm, beautiful day like this, there would be a lot less casualties. Many of the soldiers actually drowned. The tanks sunk because the waves were too high. They had missed landings all over the beaches, which created confusion and additional casualties. Oh, the water is very lovely. It'd be nice to swim. They came ashore. They were met with machine gun fire, artillery rounds landing all around them. They'd already seen boats get sunk by artillery hitting the landing craft. Their comrades lying all around them. There's obstacles all along the beach, and they storm up under a hail of gunfire, being shot down in mass. Extraordinary misery we bestow upon one another, we humans. Okay, men, move forward. Don't stop. You stay on the beach and you get killed. Keep pushing up. You've got it. Move. Luckily that machine gun nest has been knocked out. Up we go, guys, over this hill. Keep going. Don't lay down. You got it. Up we go. There we go. Okay, we've liberated the beach. Time to go have a cold, refreshing drink. Coming off the Higgins boat onto the beach. It's a little memorial. Next stop, the Beach Landing Museum, which is a collection of both stories, information, as well as artifacts found from just the D-Day invasion. After we look at the B-26 Marauder, we'll go inside and see what other interesting artifacts we can find. And certainly here's one of the most iconic pieces of equipment from D-Day, the small landing craft. Can you imagine coming off of here, machine gun fire is pouring in? There was thousands of these that were launched, getting troops onto the beach. Here's a really cool room. Got landing craft, German positions and artillery, machine guns, and it's actually facing the beach. Very nice. I think the barbed wire they were facing, the trenches. So this is our last beach stop. All four of the D-Day beaches we've seen, accumulating in Utah, which was absolutely extraordinary. Just everything about this beach is really amazing. The museum, the surroundings, just so much here. And surprisingly, just the absolute beauty. It's just gorgeous here. Here's a German flag. I guess they didn't have any members killed by the Nazis. We've arrived at our destination for the end of day 3, and we are in the town of Sainte-Mere-Elgise. And this is a famous church where, unfortunately, that paratrooper up there, you can see him, he got caught up there, and the Germans proceeded to blast him. So it's kind of mixed emotions that you see that poor guy is forever immortalized hanging from the tower. Kind of a bummer. Day 3 is concluded. A good 40 miles today, the longest of all. And tomorrow is our final push, day 4, heading to Cherbourg. Okay, we'll talk to you a bit later. One thing with being a biker is that you always have this go, go, go mentality. To stop is against the nature. Through a little town called Volgone. Volgone. Okay, yeah, let's get back to it. Quite a quaint little section of town here. A lot of the old buildings are still intact, so maybe that was the case. That's what you can expect along this tour. At every turn, something new, interesting, and beautiful. I've been wanting to see the boat cages and just realized that I was actually in one of the throughways. Now this is probably higher than it was during World War II. These are the famous boat cages they talk about. Say the Allies are moving forward, they come up to each of these little fortifications, the Germans in each corner. And so when the Allies, they had to go through these rambles, the sticker bushes, there's mines up here, personnel mines, coming up this area, trying to cross this field with Germans opening fire. This was one of the most devastating and difficult parts of the entire landing of Normandy, because each one of these little box edges represented a fortress that they had to fight through, concealed. Extremely difficult. Let's go up a little further and see what else they have here. Okay, the rain has started. First time raining. I'm ready though. Unfortunately, there's probably only about another hour and 15 minutes or so. And I've taken a circuitous route, as you can see. I'm on some kind of farm trail or farm road, which is quite muddy, but fun. I love it. Quiet, peaceful, fresh air. What's not to love? It's not just that I'm out on this fire road with these beautiful trees. It's moist out here. It's just spectacular, but I think the other part is there's no one else. This is not a known bike road. This Komoot's application for biking is fantastic and has really provided me just an amazing ride. But look at this, there's no one. No cars, no people, there's nothing out here. Except the animals, the trees, the plants, and yours truly, your Intrepid Traveler Roberto. Now I'm on a proper mountain bike track. Little rocks, roots, climbs, look at this. Boy, I did not expect being in an area like this. It's really moist in here, so ferns, a lot of mosses, really rugged terrain. Really nice. What a way to finish the ride. I'll just be a few miles outside of Cherbourg when I get off this route. Better do some swimming here. Get my duck. Trying to film and ride. Probably not a great idea on this slippery, uneven stuff. All right, back to work. I've just been transported to a different planet. I went from farming, community, rolling hills, ocean. Now I find myself in a rainforest. A coniferous forest, trees down, moss, ferns, and to top it off, it's raining. Also, I'm really out in the deep woods here, so I'm hoping that there's no issues with navigating. Just a water-soaked community of plants, fungi, you name it. Just amazing. We're gonna head this way. Take mountain biking. Let's go. Well, I got the chance to experience everything out here, including a pretty significant rainstorm, but I am prepared. Well, look at this. Rain, rain, rain. I got my rain jacket, my lid to protect my glasses. I've got blue plastic booties underneath, inside the shoes, keep my feet dry. And yeah, man, I'm loving it, really. Even got little flowers to appreciate. Okay, bye-bye. We're making our approach to Cherbourg, right in the outskirts. You can see in the distance, the harbor lies in the sea, and it's gonna be downhill all the way in. See you in town. Way to the end, even another cycleway. A pretty little section. France has a lot to offer bikers, certainly in the Normandy region. Highly recommend this route. It's just been fantastic. Super varied, different terrain, different experiences. It has been absolutely wonderful. Trip is concluded. 4 days of riding in Normandy to visit all of the World War II landing sites. Now we're ending in Cherbourg. It's a port city on the Atlantic. And it's been a wonderful trip. I'm glad you've come along for the ride, and we'll look forward to seeing you on the next adventure. As always, this is your Intrepid Traveler, Roberto. Over and out.